Righty, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Today is what day is today? Today is Thursday, December the 18th. Overall markets ended up dropping yesterday towards the downside after rejecting off key levels. We do have CPI coming into today here as well. So we'll just wait for the first 30 minutes to kind of play out. We'll go over some charts and then we'll go over CPI and develop our game plan from there. What's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. Yes, good morning, Mr. Pana, Victor, Wayne, Cody, Under. Good morning, Non Tolly. I am Cinna, Kenneth, 50, Detecto, Gerald. Good morning, Juan. Chill, David, Eileen, Andreas, Purple, Hector. Yeah. What's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. Today, let's go over some charts, some major indices here, and then we'll head on to some tech names as well. We're kind of coming to the end of year here now, as we do have some holidays next week. I do expect kind of this holiday season to be a little bit lower volume. But we'll see what happens. Overall markets dropped yesterday, a little bit of volatility, which was nice after kind of a lot of consolidation right off the bat. But let's now take a look at some of the names that we have coming into today. Let me just make sure everything's good. All right, what's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. Let's go on to the major indices, the SPY and Qs, and let's kind of go over the levels that we're looking for coming into today. So number one, let's go on to the ES and let's go into the higher time frame. So really coming to yesterday, the key levels that we had marked out, we actually had a couple key levels. We really just had this 68.80 level along with our 68.60. You can see price kind of right off the bat, rejection off a couple key levels, got underneath your 68.60. And then we end up having this nice push towards the downside, right down in towards our low that we created here. This was on Monday. So really nice push towards the downside. You can see kind of higher time frames, price now using this as an immediate retest for continuation lower. So moving forward here for the ES, what I'm just going to have marked out is going to be this 68.20. Higher time frames, that's going to be the key level. Also now your pivot level here from Tuesday. And then we also have a key level here from yesterday as well. If you do want to see some more downside, maintain underneath now this 68.20 for continuation lower for potential move back down in towards that previous day lows. Only way I'm looking for some longs if we can reclaim back above our 68.20 for a potential mean reversion back towards the upside. So higher time frames now. We have been leaning more towards the downside, specifically on the NQ, along with the ES intraday. Every pop has been shorted so far this week. We'll see what shapes up with CPI coming to market open. But as I mentioned, key level is going to be that 68.20. If we go on to the QQQ chart, if we go into the SPY chart, fairly similar thesis here. Key levels that we have marked out is going to be our low that we created here from Tuesday. You can see yesterday, once we got underneath your 680, a nice kind of push towards the downside, right down in towards that Tuesday's lows. Now you can see multiple touches here as well. So coming into market open, exact same thesis. If we can maintain underneath 675, we can see this push back down in towards that previous day lows. A reclaim back above your 675, potential mean reversion back towards the upside. So this is what we have for the SPY along with the ES coming into market open. Fairly clear levels today. It's just going to be that 675 and we're going to keep a reaction off of that level. As for the NQ, let's go on to this here on the hourly chart. So fairly similar thesis on this one as well. What we're just going to now mark out is our up close candles, and we're going to mark out really just your low that we created here on Tuesday. So for the NQ coming into today, similar thesis, just mark out our key levels. Our key levels now is just going to be our Tuesday's lows. Potentially you can also have marked out now your pre-market low from Tuesday as well. That's going to be key, which is your 25, basically your 25,000. So really two levels here for the NQ. Let's actually just mark this out as well. So I have two levels here for the NQ coming into market open. I have your overnight lows from Tuesday, and I also have your previous day lows from Tuesday. So if you want to see some upside here today, there's really actually two scenarios: potential kind of bounce off of your 2550 for a push higher, or now you're waiting for the reclaim back above your 25,200 for a push back towards the upside for mean reversion. If you do want to see downside now, I like downside on the NQ underneath now your 2550. So this is going to be the key level here for the NQ coming into market open. This is the exact level we broke down from yesterday, and I can see we're right around this key level here today. So that's going to be the key level for the NQ coming to market open, your 25,060, and then you could also mark out your Tuesday's lows. Let's just mark this out, which is your 25,200. If we go into the QQQ, coming into market open today, similar thesis here. We actually don't have our overnight lows because we don't have that information on the Qs. But what we do have is your low that we created here on Tuesday, which in this case is our 607. So our 607 is going to be key for the QQQ. If you want to see a push higher, really now it's going to be the reclaim back above your Tuesday's lows for any sort of potential mean reversion back towards the upside. If we reject, we can see a push right back down in towards our previous day close, 603. So this is what we have for the QQQ coming into today. Really, the only levels that matter, as I mentioned, is going to be that 607 along with that previous day lows. Another level we can have marked out, as I mentioned, is just going to be that kind of pre-market level and that overnight level, which we rejected from, which you can mark out this 605. So this is what we have here for the major indices coming into today. Really, we're just going to keep an eye out on your Tuesday's lows. That's going to be key here for the SPY along with the QQQ as well. Now let's go on to some other names that we have specifically on the tech side. If you guys do have any tickers or any charts you'd like me to go over, you guys can now drop them in the chat. Yeah, if you guys do have any tickers or any charts, you guys can now drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the daily watch list, that of course is in the description below. Yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. It seems like markets, kind of everyone's already packing up for the market holidays. Not too many people. Usually I can kind of tell just based off how many people show up on the pre-market preps. But yeah, a little bit lower volume. Coming into really December, we've had some nice volatility, nice moves after FOMC, but now it's kind of starting to slow down once again. We do have holidays, as I mentioned, next week. It's a good time, at least next week, to either trade on lighter size or honestly just take the next kind of 2 weeks off. We'll see what kind of shapes up. Historically speaking, it is lower volume. We'll see if we can kind of get that Christmas rally. We kind of already had it earlier into the month, but now we're fading back towards the downside. So we'll see what shapes up really next 2 days here, kind of coming into next week here. But I'm not expecting, honestly, too much coming into the end of year with Christmas and then the day after, which is going to be lower volume. And of course, on the week of the New Year's, that's also going to be a holiday as well, market holiday plus lower volume. So let's go on to now some names. We'll go on to Tesla, the Mag 7 first, and then we'll head on to a few other tickers here. Okay, so for Tesla, first things first, rejection right off our key levels that we talked about. So for Tesla, higher time frames, all-time highs. Right, not really too much to talk about. Where was a good area to kind of take profits at? All-time highs 490, and you can see wicked above it. And then you can see now we're just kind of pushing towards the downside. Funny thing is, it actually happened almost exactly 1 year ago. So we made a new all-time highs about 1 year ago, and now we're back at all-time highs. So for Tesla coming into today, we already hit our main objective, which is our all-time highs, and I can see pullback with the overall markets here as well. So for just mark out the key levels, at least coming into today, what we're going to have marked out, Monday's key pivot points, we can just drag this over to our previous day highs. So you can see this general area, nice kind of buyers stepping in. really not too much to talk about now. Equilibrium here is going to be your 480. So for Tesla, if you want to see any sort of potential kind of pushback towards the upside, key level 480. 480, or you're looking for the bounce play off your 466. So key level for Tesla for potential reclaim for push higher above your 480. Now Tesla, I would consider more neutral, higher time frame, still very much bullish, but intraday price action, at least for this week, fairly neutral. If we're looking at another possible scenario, bounce off of your 466 for a pushback towards the upside. So you have your previous day lows, you have your 480, you also have equilibrium, which is your 474, potential kind of trading opportunities around this 474 level. As for Tesla now, not as interested, open to playing more both sides on this ticker here now, just because we ended up rejecting off your all-time highs yesterday. So now we'll just be a little bit more patient, but these are the levels that we have for Tesla coming into today. As for a few other levels that we're going to have marked out, or potential downside is going to be really underneath your 474 for a push down in towards your previous day close, which there's not too much room lower. So this is what we have for Tesla coming into today. Really, this is the only one that's still relatively bullish here on the higher time frames. Now let's go on to some semiconductors. So as I mentioned yesterday, really the main watches for some downside were AMD along with Nvidia, just because overall higher time frames, these ones have been staying heavy ever since Nvidia earnings from a few weeks ago. This one, every pop has really been shorted towards the downside. Now you can see we're actually back down in towards really our higher time frame level of support. So for Nvidia, what I'd like to see, you can see it kind of came back down into a key level of support here. This is their previous kind of consolidation as well. So I want to see if the buyers will step in here on Nvidia coming into today, at least moving forward. I am leaning more towards the downside, as long as we can hold underneath your 175. So for Nvidia now, higher time frame, neutral, leaning more towards the downside. Intraday, right, leaning more towards the downside here as well. So for this ticker, key levels that I have marked out really is your previous day lows along with your low that we created here on Tuesday. So right now we're kind of in between its previous day's range, but as I mentioned, I'm leaning a little bit more towards the downside. So for Nvidia, other levels I'm gonna have marked out, gonna be this like pre-market key level plus this opening range as well. What I'll be looking for, kind of this potential pop and fade coming to market open for a push down in towards your previous day close. Another possible scenario here as well is a pop up in towards our 175 for a push towards the downside. So really these are the two scenarios I have for some downside here on Nvidia. Only way I'm a little bit more interested in upside is going to be a reclaim back above your 175. So for most of these tickers, I'm not really too bullish on them, unless we can reclaim back above key levels where it would have to show a lot of strength. So for Nvidia, keep an eye out on this pop and fade coming into today. As for AMD, this one, similar thesis, right, has been showing a lot more weakness, AMD and Nvidia specifically, compared to the rest of the semiconductors. Right now, you can see we're having a little bit of a bounce here in the pre-market just because we had some earnings yesterday on MU. We'll kind of talk about MU here in a second, but that's kind of what's holding up the market, at least right now, specifically on the semi side. But for AMD, key levels that we have coming into today is going to be our 205, which is our Tuesday's lows. And then we also have marked out now just a couple pre-market levels, sorry, levels from yesterday. So for AMD, levels I have marked out 201. This is going to be the key pivot level for potential rejection coming to market open for fade lower, back down in towards our previous day close. For AMD, at least longs, it's going to have to be the reclaim back above our 201, or it's going to be the reclaim back above this 205. So this is what I have for AMD coming into today here. 201, keep an eye out on that. As for the rest of the names here, we have Apple, consolidation dropping towards the downside slowly. Key level is going to be this 272. As for Google, we actually ended up having a nice drop towards the downside yesterday on this ticker, kind of pulling back here on the daily time frame as well. Now for this ticker, if we look at this on the daily chart, pretty overextended. Now we're getting a little bit of a pullback here on the daily time frame, at least moving forward here for Google. Key level is going to be this 304. 304 is going to be key, which is your Tuesday's lows. So basically a lot of these charts look fairly similar coming into today, right? Just keep an eye out on your Tuesday's lows. If we maintain underneath that Tuesday's lows, we can expect continuation lower. A reclaim, we can see a potential mean reversion back towards the upside. So that's what we have for the Google coming into today. Meta consolidation, not too much to talk about on this one. Just keep an eye on the key levels. We haven't changed them. Similar thing here with Amazon. Key level is this 221. Previous day lows along with your Tuesday's lows, along with this 225.50. Other names that we have, Microsoft, a lot more consolidation here as well. Netflix, similar thesis. So really across the board here, now a lot more consolidation here with the Qs dropping. So if you are looking for anything to trade, really the SPY and Qs has been the best. We've had some nice moves on Tesla. We've had some nice moves on some tech names, but now a lot of them are just kind of consolidating. NVIDIA and AMD have been dropping towards the downside, so those have been the best names lower. Tesla has been the best name higher, but besides that, now a lot of consolidation across the board, so we'll just be a little bit more patient. Really coming to the last 2 days of this week, and then of course with the holiday season coming up as well. We do have core CPI, which is going to be at 830 year over year. So we'll just wait for that. Now I'll go over a couple more tickers. We do have about 8 minutes until we get some red folder news. So if you guys do have any charts or any tickers, you guys can now drop them in the chat. We'll go over them for about 8 more minutes and then we'll develop our game plan from there. Alrighty, let's go on to some names here. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, probably can answer some questions as we're going over some charts. Seems like it's going to be a pretty slow day. As for MU, so MU here, we just had earnings in the after hours. Nice push. We're already back at all-time highs. This is really what's been holding up the market, at least yesterday, along with today. Semis have been just continuing to show strength, right? AVGO is pulling back, but MU still holding up. A few other semis holding up as well. You can just take a look at the SMH, which recently came off of our all-time high, which was expected. Now, let's see if we can kind of build this higher low here as well. So for MU, at least coming into today, key level that we're going to have is our all-time high. So we actually ended up having a super solid push. Now we're actually right back at your all-time highs. So for MU coming into today, if you do want to see any sort of potential push higher, key level is going to be really my level of support, kind of this 248. So it's going to obviously be a little bit trickier to trade MU today, but 248 potential bounce off of this key level. As for a potential, right, either first dip and rip for a push towards your all-time highs, you just have to be a little bit more cautious. I personally wouldn't be trading MU today, but we do have room up in towards our real all-time highs. Let me actually just get rid of this, which would be in this case your 264. So a couple key levels for MU today. Let's just kind of quickly mark this out. It's going to be your 258. You could be looking for potentially the break and retest above your 258 for a push up in towards your all-time highs, which is that 264. This is also a very key pivot point as well, which is your 258. Let's go into a few other tickers. Palantir, I'll go over gold, Oracle. Hi, Jack, how many cons would you suggest for a 3K account? It just depends on how much you're willing to risk. The way I would trade a 3K account would obviously be a lot different than, let's say, for example, how you would trade a 3K account. Because if I was to grow a 3K account, my full objective would to be grow it as fast as possible. So I would be risking, right, basically a decent portion of the account. As if you're trading with, let's say, 3K and you're just starting out, right, trade with small amount as possible. 1, 2 contracts, potentially 3, just to get the scaling, but a good a good spot is just one to two contracts, really only risking max like $50 to $100 per trade. That's like a good spot just to learn. And just to learn the foundation of how to actually trade and focus on the process, because or you're not focusing on the money at the very start. As for Oracle, this one dropping towards the downside here. Nice kind of pop and fade yesterday. This one's continued to just show weakness along with some other names as well. But after earnings, got just really pushing lower here. We also had this daily gap, which we ended up filling here as well. So for Oracle, now moving forward, key levels that we're going to have marked out is just going to be this 182. 182 is going to be key. If we can reclaim back above, we can see a push towards the upside. Rejection, we're just going to continue lower here. So 182 is your main key pivot point, which as you can see, we already have multiple touches. AVGO, another one. Pop and fade, just continue to push lower. Some of the semis that have been moving lower, just kind of staying heavy underneath now this 336. Previous key pivot point now is going to be that Tuesday's lows once again. Potential pop and fade off your 336 for a push lower down in towards your previous day close. If you want to see some upside, now it's going to be the reclaim back above your 336 for this pushback higher. So that's what we have for AVGO. Palantir drop towards the downside after kind of rejecting key levels. Hood, yeah, really not much to talk about across the board here. So with this market pullback, not really too much really on most of these tickers. It's hard to buy these dips specifically on some of these semis that have been beaten down so much. Something like Oracle have been very hard if you try and buy this dip, especially after earnings, plus the market. A little bit more bearish sentiment here now as well. So if you're not buying a leader, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, especially if the market bounces, because your name technically doesn't have to bounce. So that's really it for that side. Let me just go over Bitcoin and some other names. These ones actually have some nice higher time frame trends, specifically gold. At least for Bitcoin, not too much to talk about on this one. Higher lows are still being maintained on the weekly time frame. We have been staying quite heavy, and now we're just kind of consolidation. We have a lot of consolidation just around this like 84,000. So if we do want to see Bitcoin kind of push towards the upside, we're gonna have to see higher lows be built really off this 84,000 for a potential move back towards the upside. So this is what we have, at least short term. Really not too much to talk about on the daily chart, right? Short term key level we're going to have to reclaim is going to be above your 94. We kind of just have this period of consolidation. So if you want to see a push higher, reclaim back above your 94,000. You want to see a push lower now underneath your 84, we can see a push lower. So that's just kind of this consolidation area that you're going to have marked out here now. We can just mark this out. Not too much going on the lower time frames. You can just mark this out on the higher time frames, and these are going to be your key areas. Let's go over gold. So gold has been moving up nicely. This is something that has a higher time frame thesis. It's going to most likely gravitate now towards our all-time highs. So for gold, you can see higher lows are just being built. This one still maintaining key levels. Next level is going to be that all-time highs that we're eventually going to gravitate towards. So we have for gold, major levels, at least on the hourly chart. You can also go into the 4-hour. It's just going to be this 42.80 for this continued push back up and towards now our all-time highs. Okay. Let's go on to a few other tickers. How can you buy 100 shares of Qs? Not sure I understand that question. Today, will you enter trade? We'll see what shapes up coming into today. I'm going to be a lot more hands-off coming into the end of month here now. Tesla hit one of my main objectives, which was our all-time highs. Now we kind of rejected from it yesterday. So really no more higher time frame thesis for me. I'm going to be sized down here coming to end of year unless we have some sort of higher time frame thesis or some sort of news event, because now the volatility definitely is dying down, specifically for the day trades. Even swing trades and long terms are kind of dropping just because the Qs and the rest of the market's pulling back here as well. So if I do see anything, it's really just going to be based off intraday price action, because I don't really see too much on the higher time frame. So we're just going to wait for the first kind of 10 to 15 minutes to develop. If any name has relative strength or weakness, that's going to be key. And of course, we're going to take a look at your Tuesday's lows as well, which is going to be key. All right, so as we're waiting for the numbers here, we just had some red folder news in the markets, which is CPI year over year. So far, you can see initial reaction right into our Tuesday's lows, SPY, wicking back up and towards our Tuesday's lows here as well. We'll see the actual numbers. It's going to come out. Okay. So as you can see here, for some red folder news that we just had dropped, CPI year over year forecasted was 3.1, actual was 2.7, so it came in lower than expected. Unemployment claims neutral. And then for the orange folder, this one doesn't matter as well. So for the overall markets, we're getting a first initial reaction here on SPY along with the QQQ, really back up and towards our Tuesday's lows, which was going to be the key level regardless coming to this week. So now I'm actually a lot more neutral in the market. So coming into today now, with now the higher time frame still technically bearish towards the downside, we're coming right in towards our Tuesday's lows. So for the overall markets here now on the Qs coming into today, we can be looking for a potential reclaim if we can get above our 607 along with our Tuesday's highs. If we reject, we can see a potential kind of push back down in towards that previous day close. For the SPY, similar kind of thesis here. Tuesday's lows have marked out. If we can now hold above your Tuesday's lows, potentially you can see a little bit of a mean reversion. If we get underneath, we can see a push right back down in towards our previous day close. So we're just going to be waiting for the reaction today, right? Don't try and form a bias or don't try to marry a bias coming to market open. In this market, you do not want to marry a bias, right? Be open to playing both sides. If you're looking for any sort of trading opportunities, as I mentioned, just keep an eye out on the key levels and keep an eye out for the reaction off those key levels. So that's my game plan coming to today. As for now, some of my watches I'm keeping an eye out on. We'll keep an eye out on Tesla. Drop yesterday, just right down in towards key levels of support. We'll keep an eye out on our pre-market highs and kind of this 474 for potential break and hold for a pushback up and towards our 480. As for AMD and Nvidia, these ones are kind of popping back higher in between the middle of the range. So not as interested in shorts in this ticker unless we show a lot of weakness coming to market open. So right now we're kind of in a scenario where I'm not long bias nor am I short bias. I'm actually very neutral here in the markets. We're opening up right in between its previous day's range, right at your Tuesday's lows. Very neutral. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a lot of kind of a little bit of volatility, but not really a clear direction coming to market open, at least for the first 90 minutes. So we'll keep that in mind. Kind of similar to yesterday, we kind of dropped consolidation for the first like 90 minutes, and then we ended up having the move lower. So I'm expecting something kind of similar today with us being inside the middle of the range, but we'll just wait for the first, as I mentioned, 15 to 30 minutes to play out regardless. As for upside, I don't see too much here. Tesla will keep an eye out on above your 474. A couple other names that I'm somewhat interested in here now is going to be some of the semiconductors. So potentially MU will keep an eye out on that just because we had earnings, potential kind of dip and rip is in play for a push higher. But really besides that, I don't like too much, at least on the higher timeframes wise for longs as of yet. So we'll just be a little bit more patient, at least for short side. I don't see too much either. So NVIDIA, AMD, did like for shorts, but now we're kind of popping above. So I'd be a little bit more cautious. Apple kind of at the low of the range. So yeah, really today here with the CPI that just got released, we're going to be a lot more patient here in the markets. As I mentioned, now I'm just going to keep an eye out on your Tuesday's lows. So Tuesday's lows is going to be key here. Be a little bit more patient today. That's most likely going to be it for me today. As I mentioned, right, keep an eye out on your Tuesday's lows. Be open to playing both sides. Just be a little bit more cautious in this market with no clear direction on the higher time frames. And now we're opening up inside the middle of the range here as well. So I'm going to be waiting for that first kind of 15 to 30 minutes to develop to see if there's any sort of clear direction or any sort of relative strength on any other ticker. And besides that, I am going to call it a day here. If you guys did enjoy this live session, appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the daily watch list. Of course, that one's in the description below. And yeah, that's about it for me. And I will see you guys all tomorrow. All right. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of the day. Peace.